George was a bonus. My husband, an avid hunter and fisherman, was on one of his well-loved treks across the southern Alberta prairies when he came upon a cabin for sale. Somehow George was involved with the ensuing transaction, even though it wasn't his cabin. He knew someone who knew someone else, and we would therefore get a good deal. George knew everyone for miles around, and once we were settled into our old hunting cabin, we got to know George very well indeed. He lived in a neighbouring hamlet and was its mainstay, for he could turn his hand to anything and was always giving a helping hand where it was needed. "I love George," said the little boy in the playground opposite the Red Lion pub, where the local men were inside having their usual Saturday gathering. "He drives our school bus, you know, and he tells us lots of stories." George and his brothers had been born and raised in the area, sons of hard-working German immigrants, so he had many stories to tell. And once he began playing his guitar, he surely told them. Putting words to his music, he would sing away around the campfire down by the lake. We would all gather around and feel the warmth and fun that was George. Why, he even helped us build an outhouse. "Come over here, lass." He motioned me over to the bench where he was working. "Sit yourself on this piece of wood." And he proceeded to draw around my rear end. I was the pattern for the resulting hole, and feel flattered to this day. George could literally fix anything that was broken, and people dragged their bits and pieces from miles around to George's garage, an old warehouse shed at the south corner of the main street. He was a self-taught welder and mechanic, hence the garage. He was also a self-taught butcher. Part of his garage was set aside for this purpose, and his wife helped him here. But I think after a few years, this activity eventually was closed down by the health inspectors. It certainly didn't look very hygienic. Engines and oil on one bench, and carcasses and blood on another. However, as I mentioned, he turned his hand to anything for anybody. His ironwork is displayed on the local cemetery gate, and if we needed reminding of George, we think of him every time we pass this landmark. If he had had an education, George would have been a well-known genius, there's no doubt. I've ridden in the hovercraft on the River Thames in England, a boat that skims along the top of the water. Well, that was nothing compared with George's hovercraft. He took an old vacuum cleaner motor, attached it to a wooden raft, and he and his wife would skim across the lake, settling down in the middle to cast for trout. Of course, George always pulled up his limit, whilst others in their more up-to-date crafts watched enviously. Full of laughter and love, he raised his family well. And if he was also full of the drink a bit too often, who was to reproach him? For George was a bon vivant, a true lover of life. And one morning we were standing in his workshop, chatting, whilst he repaired his neighbour's washing machine. I suddenly felt a stream of water running down my neck. "George, there's a hole in your roof," I stated, looking upwards. He laughed at me. "Nothing to worry about, lass. It only leaks when it rains." And that was his philosophy. Like I said, George was a bonus, one of the many gems scattered throughout our small prairie towns. They don't gain great recognition in the world, but they're nevertheless at the heart of everything that matters.